Hey, what's up, guys? I have been having more fun than I should developing this. It's been a blast and a half. Where to start? Well, let's start with this. I made this, just the adapter to Picatinny, when I was sitting there thinking, man, I need to get like a laser on this. And because I couldn't really use the sights on here because back then this was all wobbling around. So I designed this base for this rail that I had laying around. And after I did that and I put it on, I'm like, man, this is all right. This is pretty cool. And then I figured, well, I bet I could design the same base for a smaller rail and use it up here for a front sight post. And then I remembered, wait a minute, dingus, I can just design the entire thing and stick it up there. So then I made this. This is just a one piece, all printed, and that just clips on the barrel anywhere. They do move around a little bit. They can be somewhat permanently affixed. I've thought of a few ways to do that, and I'm going to see how that all works out with another barrel. So then I made this one, and it's let's see, I think it's only got 2 slots in it, and just aesthetically I figured, well, it would probably look a little bit better if it had an extra slot. So I came up with this one. That one's on there pretty good, so I haven't messed with it since then. You can see here where I've been scratching it up and just shooting it with paint. Let's see what else. Yeah, I had some iron sights left over from the replicas. I think I got 3 sets of those. So I put some of those on there, and I was a little bit concerned about it, about the distance from the tube to the top of the rail, because something like this, it has more drop in the trajectory than a bullet or a pellet. So it's a little bit different than iron sights for a pellet or a bullet because it has more drop. You have to have less elevation here than you normally would. So I was a little bit concerned about that when I designed this, but with this rail on here, I didn't even have to adjust it for 30 yards. I could not believe it. So that saved me a good bit of time. I fixed the weeble wobble in it. Before I just had tape, some duct tape around this, and the barrel just kind of loosely on there. And that's fine, but you can't use sights. But now we can scope it. And what I did was I designed a bushing that steps down and goes into here, 35 or 40 millimeters, and that goes around the muzzle and on the inside here, and it takes up all that slack. And I was really surprised that it got on there without breaking first try. Not the first try for fitting. And doing stuff like this, you got to print one, see if it fits, make adjustments, print, see if it fits, make adjustments, and just keep doing that. So it can be time consuming. And I've been shooting it at about 2200 psi just to check to see if there's any movement there. I've also been checking the tube periodically with calipers to check for any swelling. I can't find any. And I was thinking about it. I calculated that I'm getting just above 50 foot-pounds when I put it over the Crony. So I figured, well, let's pretend that the back of the dart cup is 1 square inch. So if that's so, and it's not too far off from the muzzle or bore diameter, if that's so, doesn't that mean that as it comes out of the barrel, there's 50 pounds of pressure in there? Now, I don't know what it would be. I'm sure that that number starts high and then trails off low, or it might start low and spike and then trail off. I'm not really sure how that works, but I'm not concerned about just using a piece of EMT on it. I still need to do a couple of tests because just to make sure that we're not going to burst anything. What I'm going to do is plug the end of the barrel and just fire the thing, because I think what should happen is it should come off before anything bursts. So I haven't done that yet because I found a way to get rid of that seam that's been robbing us of power. Let me put this camera up and I'll get the stuff ready to show you. I went to a machinist yesterday and talked to him about reaming these out. Maybe I could just bring him 20 or 30 of them and have them ream them for me. But they didn't have the ream and this and that and the other. But so he really couldn't help me. And it was going to be, if you talk to the owner, he said, I know he'll say $130 a piece. So I really didn't think that was, feasible if I'm going to be offering these. So what I came up with was this little jig, and this rides down the center of the tube, rides right in the bore, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see, but there's three little holes in there for springs, and there's 2 holes here for set screws. These are M3 screws, and damned if my printer didn't print this in this orientation and print those threads for this. I got to get shorter grub screws, and because these are a little bit too long, they'd hit the bore. But once I have some shorter grub screws, they'll clear the bore. And the way this works is these springs go in here, and I've got a section of round chainsaw file that I cut to 100 millimeters, and you feel the way it bites. You can either push or pull it. I prefer to push it through, so I need it facing that way. And then this goes in here like so. You just squeeze down on the top of it there, get it in the bore, and then the springs push against it, and 2 passes. So 1 down, back, 1 down, and that seam is gone. Now I'm gonna, I figured, well, I might as well make and sell these because we're just using 1/2 inch EMT, and that way, people can experiment with this, make short barrels, make long barrels, whatever length barrels they want. And yeah, the same thing with the projectiles. They're going to be just made out of carbon fiber arrow shafts, and I'll be able to supply the cups for them. And I can work with customers, and they say, well, maybe make it a hair bigger here or a hair smaller there. I'll be able to do all that. So yeah, I'm quite excited. It feels like I'm getting back into business. with the draws again. And I've been talking to Sergey, and we are probably going to come up with a simplified version of this, one that doesn't shoot 5,000 rounds a minute, one that only shoots darts. And so right now for this, if you have a draws, you'll be thinking about getting one of these, because this just adds so much to it. When I first put this on, I was using 1,000 psi, and that was pushing the darts fine. But yeah, lately, yesterday, I shot it a couple of times at just to see if where these sights were, and I was hitting a frying pan at 30 yards, no problem with those iron sights. I'll get back with you guys in a week or so. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and bite the bullet and get the proper stuff to hone the bores, and then I'm going to be, offering the tubes, or you could go out to the hardware store and get your own piece of conduit, buy this, and I'll be making the darts, but I'll let you guys know how I'm making them, and we'll make videos on that, and you can make them at home too. I will say this about the carbon fiber: that stuff is nasty to cut. The first day I was cutting it, I didn't use any protection, and I got here's one of them, these infected spots, like one there, one on my arm and one on my back, and I'm like, what in the world is this? It's just those little tiny pieces of carbon fiber. They'll get stuck in you and give you a nasty infection. So just be aware of that if you plan on making your own darts. All right, guys, until the next one, later.